Well, hello, and welcome back. Let me go ahead and get my screen share up here. Okay, so those of you that are watching live, you are free to comment and chat on YouTube. I got this streaming on Facebook and Twitch and YouTube, but I'm just watching the comments on YouTube. For those of you that are not watching this live, go ahead and look in the description below because there's the slightly edited version that will be up within a day of this going out. What we're doing, just to be clear, is we're going over how to get Linux on Windows using WSL and WSL2, which is the Windows subsystem for Linux. And this is updated for 2021 because there's a lot of old and conflicting information out there. If you had a hard time, this is going to solve your problems. And it's probably going to work for 2022 and 2023 as well. We'll see. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's see if anything else I need to explain to the live audience here. Yeah, so check the descriptions if you want to see the edited version instead if you're not live. And of course, feel free to subscribe to the channel if you like this afterwards and all that. But with that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and get this started for the edit. Well, hello, and welcome back. Today we're going over how to get Linux running on Windows using Microsoft's WSL and WSL2. I know there's a lot of conflicting information out there. This is updated for 2021, so this should be buttery smooth sailing for you. If at any point in the video you do have that aha moment, please give it a thumbs up. And with that, let's just go ahead and dig into it. So the most important thing, I think I actually put this in the description. Yeah, I've got the process in the description. So you can check in the description there. But the most important thing is to run system updates. And this is super confusing. We're going to open this up. Sorry, it takes a second. And what you're going to see is it's going to say you're up to date. And this is really confusing because it's 99% of the time false. I mean, even if you're one of those people that is always clicking the no, don't update, no, don't update. And if you want to run Linux on Windows, you need to get to the latest updates because things are not going to work out for you, most likely if you don't. But it's a little confusing because it says you're up to date, but then if you look right below, it'll say, oh, there's additional downloads. Now, this version of Windows is up to date enough. I don't actually need this particular cumulative update for what we're about to do, but you will need to go here, let it lie to you, click the download install, and sometimes it's lower down. It's very confusing. And you need to restart, and you need to run it again, and you need to restart and run it again, and keep doing that until you've restarted it twice in a row, and it doesn't come up with anything up at the top, anything in the middle, or anything down at the bottom that looks like something you could click on to get updates. If you're to that point, then you're ready to proceed to step number 2. So I know that this is actually a virtual machine here. Well, you can probably see that from the Chrome around it. I'm going to go ahead and open up Microsoft Edge, and we're going to go to webinstall.dev/WSL. Now, I painstakingly took more time than I want to admit to in going through forums and looking at different issues on GitHub and trying to figure out what is the correct sequence that will guarantee that the install is going to work correctly and have all of the necessary components. Because a lot of the guides out there, you follow them and they kind of assume that something was already installed that doesn't happen to be installed on your system. So here we've got a cheat sheet, if I can actually get it to load here. webinstall.dev/WSL. Oops, there we are. And this has got both documentation and a script. And we're going to use this script and we have to run it twice because it is not possible to do the full Windows subsystem for Linux install without a reboot. Okay, so I am going to scroll through just to, whoops, it's registering artificial clicks here, virtual machine and all that. If you read these instructions carefully, you will most likely end up successful. Otherwise, there's probably something that's devastatingly wrong with your Windows setup, and you're most likely going to need a clean install or spend hours and hours debugging problems. Okay, so I think, yeah, this is a cheat sheet. It's lots of stuff that we're going to be going into. Well, we're not going to be going into all of this, but lots of stuff that you'll need as a handy reference once you get going. All we need to start is this command right here, And I don't think it shouldn't matter whether we run it in PowerShell or in command, but I'm going to say let's run it in command because that's how I've been doing it. So we're going to open this up. And then the way that you paste in Windows command is a 2-finger click. So that was kind of confusing for me. The way that you copy is you select and hit enter. I mean, obviously on a web page you can copy the normal way by right-clicking and selecting copy. But yeah. So we'll go ahead and hit enter. And this is going to take a minute, so we might need to edit some of this out. But this is going to go and download all the optional components that are necessary in the correct order, so that it's not you're trying to install one thing and it's giving you an error and it turns out, oh, you got to go install this other thing first. It's going to install everything in the correct order. So let me go ahead and get this thing started if we can. Oh, hadn't started yet. There we go. While we're waiting, I'll check the comments here on YouTube, see if we got anything going on. Okay, so I have a hard time believing that that actually completed. Sometimes the Windows terminal gets stuck and you have to hit enter again. Yeah, that was the case here. This is actually a known bug that affects every version of Windows. It affects popular programming frameworks like Node.js. I've seen it affect Go programs. This is just a weird quirk in Windows. I actually talked to a Windows engineer who said that they know about the bug and they're leaving it in for compatibility reasons, basically with old enterprise DOS systems, if I understood correctly. Where the heck did it go? I'm just going to hit enter again. There we go. Yeah. So especially in virtual machines, it seems to be more common, but it is something something to do with, I guess, multi-threaded applications in the terminal. I'm not really clear on it. Okay, yes. We're going to allow this administrative rights so that it can run a script that installs the Windows system services in the proper order without us having to go through various menus and go pick through, especially because those menus actually change quite often. So we can see it's installing Microsoft Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's installing the virtual machine platform. It is it's also initializing related services to the virtual machine platform. Now this was a tricky one. For WSL2, it needs to download a special version of the Linux kernel from Microsoft. And you may not have seen that because it may have gone by too quickly. And then it needs to download Ubuntu. It needs to download Ubuntu Linux. And I'm just staying silent here rather than blabbering because this part's going to get cut out in the edited video. Again, if you're not wanting the live version, check in the description for the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist. Okay, and now we're at the point where it's trying very hard to tell us what to do, but we have to use our 3rd grade reading skills. So, action required. Read carefully. Basically, this is saying restart your computer and then come back. Wait, there's more. This just can't be finished without a reboot. It's just not possible. So we need to go and restart. So we're going to do that right now. I am a statue. going to check and see if there happen to be any comments on Facebook. YouTube's a little lonely right now. I'm so incredibly lonely. I'm even going to check Twitch. Nobody's watching me install Linux on a school night. TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. Oh, here we go. All right, and we're back in action. That's so weird that you gotta swipe up. All right, so now, if you remember, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the webinstall.dev/WSL, and we're going to run the same script again, and that's going to give us both the option for WSL1 and WSL2. Now, I am not going to be able to enable WSL2 on this because it's a virtual machine, and the para-virtualization support I don't have configured correctly for this, and I don't want to take the time to do it, but I have done it in the past, and so I do have the instructions. There are 2 pages to take a look at. There's webinstall.dev/WSL as well as webinstall.dev/WSL2. And this will install both, and it tells you about WSL2, and I think it's even got some of the instructions. Sorry, my mouse is bouncing around. It's so hard to control when you're in a virtual machine and you've got the Mac mouse acceleration and the Windows mouse acceleration fighting each other. Come on, copy. There we go. Oh, except it didn't work. Okay, I'm gonna try using the copy button. Maybe that. Yes. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go back to command. #virtual machine probs. Okay, going back to command. We're going to 2-finger click here to paste this a second time. Oh, it is using it as a multi-touch device right now. Interesting. Huh. All right. Anyway, I'm going to hit enter and then hit enter again. Like I said, if it gets stuck for more than a second or two and it's not showing a progress bar of some type, just press enter. And I believe it's going to give the same or similar instructions at the end telling you WSL2 is not enabled. Here's what you need to do to enable it. Okay, it's coming up. It's asking, hey, do we do this? It's going to run through everything again. It's just checking each thing. Is this installed? Is this installed? So it's going to run through each check. Okay, that seems like it's just hanging there. I'm going to hit enter. That's it. I tell you, especially in virtual machines, it's a problem. But you'll have this problem even on real Windows machines as well. Okay, hit enter. Oh, that was it. Okay, so here we are. You must also install Ubuntu Linux from the start menu to complete the install. So let's go ahead and do that. I think we have to do it from the actual start menu. It doesn't show up in search until you've opened it for the first time. This was super confusing for me. But it'll be under recently added, as you can see here. But if you do the search, it won't show up. So you have to open it actually from the start menu. Okay, and then it's going to sit here and it's going to do some initialization. It's going to ask us for a username and password. I'm going to use the username app because that's just kind of the default standard username that people use for these types, for virtual machines or virtual servers and that kind of thing. Now this one, I think, well, one, it says it's going to take a few minutes, but when it's actually running in Linux and not command.exe, I don't think you have the problem where you have to hit enter to get scripts to continue. But while that's doing that, I'm just going to go, let's see, is there anything else we need here? No, there's nothing else we need there. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to go back to the web page and point out a couple of things. One of which is it doesn't really matter what username and password we pick, because you can just reset them at any time with the WSL command from either command.exe or PowerShell. So let me get down. Okay, yeah. So here you go. If you want to change the password at any time, that's what you can do. If you want to log in it as root at any time, that's what you can do. I highly recommend you go to just.github.com. I keep on forgetting to say that at the beginning of these things. But go to just.github.com and just make some notes for yourself. Call it WSL.md and keep track of this. You know, abbreviate just the most important parts for you. That way you've got it when you need it. Yeah, this is how we can, if you have multiple Linux distributions, you can select which one you want to launch. I don't think there's anything else on this page in particular that's super important to us. Oh, this is kind of cool though. You can run WSL to run Linux commands from Windows. So if you want to pipe, say you want to use grep in Windows, you can actually pipe from Windows output into WSL into grep. It's kind of cool. If you're a Windows person, maybe you like to use the PowerShell utilities for that, but something to note. Okay. And this right here, this is actually how you set the WSL to version 2. And the difference between the two, let's explain that while this is continuing to install. The difference between WSL 1 is that it is not an emulation layer. It's like Wine, if you're familiar with Wine for Windows. Well, Wine is not an emulator, the Windows emulator. It is WSL1 is a re-implementation of the kernel syscalls. So everything goes through the Windows kernel, and it's just got a software shim layer. So there's advantages and disadvantages to this, but typically it works pretty well for most people. There are some things that can't work. Like, for example, you cannot create virtual block devices in Linux if you're running WSL1 because there's not a way, either there's not a way for it to be done on the Windows kernel, or they didn't invest the time in writing the correct shim layers for the Windows kernel. WSL2 is actual virtualization, like VirtualBox. So Windows 10 ships with virtualization options that we just turned on and enabled. So when you're using WSL2, it's actually virtualizing, just like VirtualBox or VMware or any of those other things. I am going to hit enter over here just in case. Oh, son of a biscuit. Okay, but I'm going to finish what I was saying. Actually, I think that was basically the end of what I was saying there. How to install. Oh, and then we've got the manual instructions. So if you wanted to do this step by step, you know, if you didn't want to trust my script and see all the resources, all that's there. And then one last thing before we go on with this is just, if you replace WSL with WSL2, you're going to get back just the notes that are specific to WSL2, and then some of the error messages and stuff like that that you might have to deal with. That's more for SEO, because you're not going to get any error messages if you're following along here. Okay, so I'm going to enter in my Unix username is app, and my new password is going to be password. Okay. And with that, once we get to the prompt, we're logged in, but remember that I was wrong. This still has the problem where sometimes things will stop, you'll stop getting output and you just have to hit enter. It'll happen all the time when you're in a virtual machine, but it'll happen sometimes on regular Windows as well. And there's There's nothing that can be done about it. It's left there for backwards compatibility with old enterprise systems. Okay, so yeah, I can run ls. There's nothing there. Let's run lsa. Oh, and here's a cool thing. So let's say that we want to install Webby in Linux. So we do have SSH in Windows. So we don't have to be in Linux to use SSH. SSH ships with Windows 10, so you can get into other servers. One of the whole reasons I was creating this is for those of you that are following along with the boot camp and you're on Windows, you want to be able to get into the servers. You can do that from the Windows terminal, but this gives you a little bit more flexibility with more of the Unix tools. So let's. Oh, what the heck is going on? What is going on? Holy moly! Oh gosh, let's see. Huh. I think this is just some weird virtual machine stuff that's going on. I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. I should probably turn off the touch driver for my trackpad. I thought that would be a good idea in the virtual machine, but it turns out it's not. Okay, so now we're going to open that back up because I wanted to show you a couple more things. But now we should be able to actually search Ubuntu in the search bar, and it should pop up. Except that I've totally lost my keyboard. I have utterly, absolutely lost my keyboard. So we're going to edit this out in the edit. I have to figure out what's going on that my keyboard's not working. So give me just a second, and we will regroup. Okay, that's working. I think I'm just going to restart. I can't imagine why my keyboard just stopped working. But we're going to do the restart. Good old 3-finger salute. Here's the salute that never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. When I have to do it, it's because I'm going to wail. All right, let's see if we can get back in this BZ. I tried to set my pin to 0000. It wouldn't let me. I was very sad. Okay, so now that I've got my keyboard back, I'm going to type in Ubuntu here. This time it should be showing up in the search. It is still not showing up in the search. Maybe that's because I restarted it before it had exited successfully. So we'll go back to the start menu. We'll open it up here. We'll close it out, and we'll hope that it reappears in the search the next time. And I'm just going to hit enter to be safe. Okay, so I'm logged in. Great. So I'm just going to run curl the way that I would normally. And I'm going to install Webby. All right, there we are. I'll go ahead and let's see, is copying and pasting going to work Linux style or Windows style? Looks like it's working Windows style. Okay, so now I'm going to run Webby node. We're going to get ripgrep. We're going to get caddy. We're going to get SD, FD. We'll get go. Just go hog wild. I shouldn't have put go in there. That's a bigger download. I'll cancel it before it does it. But I just want to show all of the stuff that works in normal Linux works in Windows subsystem for Linux. So if you're following along in the course, you can use this in place of Mac and it will work 90% of the time. Now, when it doesn't work, you're going to have to figure it out on your own because you're the odd man out. Really, if you're serious about a software career, you should have a Mac. That's just how it should be. But since most of the stuff we're going to be doing is on a Linux server anyway, I don't think it's going to be an impediment. It's probably more not like 90, but like 95 to 98% of the time. Okay, and I'm actually just going to cancel this. Let's see if Control C will work for me. It does. Yes. Awesome. And then let's go ahead and get Vim Essentials. So now we can have Vim on Windows. Well, Vim would already be part of Linux, but the same Vim Essentials that I recommend for Mac and for servers works here as well. And we could probably even run Fish. That's the last thing I'm gonna try here. Let's see if we can get Fish. I think we will. Okay, cool. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get the Vim GUI stuff because I think that that's going to work. I think that mouse support will transfer through to the Ubuntu terminal. And with that, I'm going to do Webby Fish. I think it's just going to tell me, yeah, you need to sudo apt install. Sudo apt install-y fish. There we are. Put in my password. Oops. Oh, so sad. So I'll have to look that up later because I will want to have some notes on that because I want you Windows people to be able to enjoy Fish as well. I'm really confused as to why it's not. Oh, you know what? Let's do apt update. Sudo apt update -y. Let's do that first. Okay, we'll wait a second. Okay, I'm thinking this might be the case where it's just frozen. I'm going to hit enter. Indeed it is. Making a note on that. Okay, so now if I go run install Fish, this time, hallelujah, indeed, Fish is being installed. So we can have glorious Fish on Windows in our wonderful Ubuntu terminal. All right, I was just preparing our next commands here while I was installing. So the next thing that we want to do is we're going to want to change our default shell to fish. And this is not the way that I typically prefer to do it, but because of the way the shell works, we're going to need to do that as an administrator. So I'm going to see, oh, I can't copy and paste outside of the virtual machine. So I think this is right. So this is one of those, again, just silver bullet type of deals. I don't know that it's super important to explain every detail of it. These are things that you'll learn later on. But basically, I'm saying as the administrator, change the shell to the shell. Whoops, I put these in the wrong order. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be -S for shell, and then Command-V to get the full path of the shell, and then the who am I to say for which user. All right, so that worked. So now, let me just go ahead and adjust my note there. I'm going to put these in the description as well. All right, and then I'm just going to close this out. I'm going to exit. That's what I'm going to exit so it exits cleanly. And let's see if this time it'll, now that it's exited cleanly, yes, now it shows up in search as it should. Okay. Cool. So now we're in fish. I wonder if we can run fish config. I wonder if it'll open up our Windows web browser. Yes, it will. This is awesome. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say yes. We're going to allow this to work. Oh, this is just fantabulous. Cool. So I can configure. Come on, allow access. Cool. I can configure my fish shell. I love the theme Tomorrow Night, by the way, so I'm just going to select that. Tomorrow Night and Nord are pretty awesome. Okay, is there anything else? I don't want to really spend much time configuring this. I just wanted to see if it worked, and it does. So there we are. I'm going to have to hit enter probably. This may not have worked because of that stupid bug. Okay. So let's try this one more time. We're going to open this back up. Let's see if we get our color theme. That'll be amazing. No, we don't. That's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna try it one more time. I'm not expecting it's gonna work, but there was a lot of stuff going on there. You know, it's like asking for permissions and all that. Maybe something got clogged up in the pipes. So let me try one more time. See if we can get this. Come on. Ugh. It's really hard. Low bandwidth connection to localhost, you know? That was a funny joke. You can laugh, for pity's sake. Oh gosh, no, don't translate to English. No, I don't actually want to do that. I want to select the colors so that they will work. Okay. Let's try this. Come on. No, no, don't bring up menu systems. Just give me the color thing. Where do I click save? Is there a place to click save? Set theme. Set theme. Okay. No, I did not want Tomorrow Night Bright. Let's go back. I wanted Tomorrow Night. There we go. Set theme. Theme set. Awesome. Okay. Oh. I'm hoping that the reason it did that is because the web page was closed. All right, last time. Exiting out. Opening back up. Halvesies. It's not quite right. Oh, another thing I want to see. Let's see if Nerd Font works. Check that out. What? How did... how did... Wait. Oh, right. Right, okay. So I need to run the Webby installer again because fish is not configured. Okay. Excellent. Cool. So I don't know how we configure fonts in this. I think that actually has to be done outside. Properties. Oh, this is running in command.exe. Yeah, we really can't be doing that. Step 2 should have been to install Windows Terminal. Okay, we're gonna... Okay, we're gonna see. I gotta fight this to the end. And I'm gonna cut this out in the edited version. So we're not gonna get this far. I'm gonna end in the other one. Let's see. I want to go to the App Store. No, that's not what I want. Dang it. Oh, no. Close that. Close all these things. Windows Store. What do we call it? Is it called the Windows Store? Microsoft Store. Okay. Come on. Windows Terminal. Love how responsive it is. All right. Windows Terminal. Here we go. Oh, it's so sexy. 3D. How do I install it? Where's the install button? Oh, of course. It's down where I can't see it. Why would it be anywhere else? No, I want to sign in. Virtual machine, dial-up speeds. Okay, I'm just going to call it quits here, and then I'm going to edit all that out. So let me get back to a good point to wrap up the video. So I think we were at a good point when we were able to search for it and find it in the search. All right. Okay, so here we are. Linux is doing what it's supposed to do. From this point, 99 or better % of things that you need to be able to do in Linux are going to work. And that means for the course, this should be perfectly fine. With that, I'm going to go ahead and recommend that you also install the Windows terminal because this is running in command.exe and that's not so great. But we'll save that for another go. It's getting kind of late. I'm getting kind of foggy here. Just 1 second. Yeah, check in the description. If you like this, give it a like if it helped you. If you want to follow along with more of these lifestyle tutorials, some of them a little shorter, some of them not that much longer, then go ahead and subscribe to the live channel. You can also go to the Beyond Code Bootcamp playlist and subscribe to that to see these things in order, because sometimes I'm filming them out of order and then putting them in the right place. And yeah, if you want to hear me ramble about some morning shower thoughts, I've got a channel for that too, linked in the description. That's Health, Wealth, Commitment. With all of that, thanks for joining in. Leave any questions, comments, any of that. I'd love to know if you've got some neat tricks you've learned, or if you have encounter any error messages, we can hopefully help you work through. But with that, adios.